Hey, welcome to the Mind Body Warrior channel. I'm Sifu Matthias, speaking to you here from the beautiful city of Vancouver in Canada. Today, I want to talk about something that might not be talked about a lot, and maybe because of that, not enough, which is something that we as strong martial artists sometimes avoid to speak about, which is emotions and feelings. Oh yes. Okay, so stay tuned, dive in, let me know how you like it. Like, subscribe, comment, share with friends and family, and yeah, let's get more attention to this, okay? Hey, good. So today is a little bit different. As you can see, I'm just sitting on my desk. Not much exciting thing going on. The only exciting thing is my new t-shirt. Yeah. And today I thought, actually, this is something that came up because last week I was talking about this with someone close to me, who is also my student, but not just that. And we were talking about how we approach certain feelings that either arrive or that sometimes uncontrollably are taking over on us, right? And in this little chat, I realized that there is maybe something that can be beneficial for other people to listen to hear. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to give you like a little insight on how you can hopefully deal better with emotions. And I might want to just pull a little bit back and see like, okay, what are emotions, and why is it so important to deal with that, right? And there's obviously different ways to think about it and to talk about it. Like some would say, oh, it's just like biochemical things that are happening in your body, right? The hormones and all that stuff. Yes, also. Doesn't mean you can control them, right? Every day, every night. And it's something we, for the worse or better, we are dealing with on a daily basis, right? And there's healthy and unhealthy ways to do that. What am I talking about? And like, I feel like often in martial arts, especially when you start them, you're coming from a position where you actually, and I can see this with my students, maybe not also with my students, but a lot of people in general, like when you hear like how they started with martial arts, it has often something to do with trying to figure out how to deal with certain emotions they have. Could be anger, a lot. This is often happening with men that come to train. Fear. It's more often on the female side, but I think it's actually on both sides. It's like the biggest kind of emotional triggers that make people go to martial arts. And often this comes from situations, from trauma, or like lived situations, things that happened in people's life that make them not being able or not understanding exactly what's going on in their life with these emotions, and trying to find ways to deal with that, right? I can see this often also with the kids, like how they can get triggered into being angry or like afraid of doing something. And the moment they get confidence, they're just doing it, right? So kids are kind of lucky in that way. Until 6, 7, they're not really conscious about much things, and they kind of can switch these emotions in one moment to the other, or at least they, not as us adults, they are not conscious about them as much and stick with them. But yeah, in Buddhism, or from a Buddhist perspective, we talk about negative or inflicted emotions, but that said, they're not necessarily good or bad. It's just there's like the positive emotions and the negative ones, and I would say like the negative ones, they just get you more into trouble, like anger, jealousy, envy. What else? Well, if I'm sure I forget some of them, you can write them in the comment if you want, but you know where I'm going, right? Hate is like a strong one. But that's the important part. The positive emotions, like love, compassion, kindness, they also can get us in trouble. And that's why there's no good or bad. And I think that's where this chat came to, where we talked about like how we deal with our emotions and how we react to our emotions. And I'm going to go to this a little bit, but what I was trying to say is when we have these emotions, they are not necessarily good or bad. They are just emotions. How we react on these emotions, that's the problem, right? So if I feel loved, that feels beautiful, right? If I'm happy, joyful, that's beautiful. I want to stay there. I want to have this all the time. And you already see, that's where the problem comes in. I can't be always happy. I can't always feel joy. That's just not how life is. It's an illusion, right? So we have to understand that things come and go, that things are not in a permanent state. And when we understand that, then we can actually deal with it on a different base. And it's the same with anger or with envy, jealousy, like all this. And I think I mentioned them more because that's the ones I had to deal with a lot in my past, to be honest. And I found a way for that, which is actually so simple and at the same time so complicated. And I think that's the good news and the problem at the same time. And that's where I was like talking about with this person, and they were like surprised how I'm internally processing that. But this is something that takes time. If you do martial arts and if you teach martial arts, you might have seen people in more intense sparring sessions suddenly either starting to cry, being very nervous, or the other opposite, getting into like completely blackout rage, right? Like all the extremes there, and I think, but the beauty of sparring there is like you get confronted with your own emotions so much that they're just coming out and you can't control, like, because we are getting under pressure situations, so we can't actually control what's happening to us as much. And that's where like a lot of stuck emotions can come up, right? And that's where we can also in martial arts actually learn how to deal with them. and dealing with them doesn't mean we suppress them, and that's really this very important thing. There's no way you can suppress your emotions, and if you do that for too long, you're gonna get sick, or you're gonna feel bad. You're gonna have some issues. They can be mentally, they can be physically. Our body-mind connection is there. That's why we are body-mind warriors, because we need to connect the two, right? Sometimes we have like a pain somewhere, we don't know where it's coming from, and we are looking for the symptoms, but they are actually not in our body, they are here, or in our past experiences, right? And we have to come to deal with these past experiences in order to release this stuck energy. That's what we would say from a Kung Fu or from a Qi perspective, right? How can we get the Qi flowing again freely? And that's not always working only through exercises or through Qi releasing. It's also through mental work, through letting things go, through accepting things as they are. Okay, and that's what I want to go to. So, what do I do? And that's something that I learned quite honestly through Kung Fu, through reading a lot, understanding trauma, for example, but also, and most importantly, the emotional part through meditation. And why I'm saying this? Because the more we meditate, the more we learn to observe ourselves, the more we also learn to observe our emotional upcoming, our emotional responses. And so, for example, when I was younger, I couldn't control a lot of the emotions that I had, right? Like anger, and or even like sometimes you have I had moments where I was like in uncomfortable situations, and then my body would like react a certain way and stop me from doing things, or like stop me from thinking clearly. And now, and that's where I was going, sorry for the long take, when these situations happen, I still have these feelings. They are still there. They're not just going away, but I recognize them. I'm comfortable with them, and I accept them, and just let them be, and go on with my life in a clearer, more conscious head space, if this makes sense. So let's say I'm in a situation where in the past I would have get really angry, would have said things that I normally shouldn't have said, and didn't, just felt in the moment, and really just did say to hurt the other person. And it's like the worst things, I feel at least, that can happen, right? You're in a situation with someone you actually which is close to you. You, out of whatever trauma, past experiences, or lack of consciousness in that sense, you react instantaneously without thinking, and with rage or anger, and say things that hurt the other person. Now, if I'm in this situation, I feel the emotion is coming up, and I stop myself, and it's like, okay, yeah, there you are again. I had when this happened at the beginning, I was often And you see like how this is a loop. I got angry at myself to have this emotion. So like, why are you angry now? Like, you shouldn't be angry. Until I realized, no, it's okay. You should be angry. You're angry. And that's okay for whatever what happened, whatever gets thrown at you. Maybe you're angry, but you don't have to act on this. You shouldn't act on this. And that's also good kung fu. If you're a more high-level practitioner, you shouldn't act out of anger or out of like uncontrolled emotions. That's not. That means you're training like you didn't train well. Like whoever trained you, that's not good. Okay, that's I think, and that's maybe something for another episode. Like, but this is something that might sometimes happen in modern martial arts, but also in traditional. So like honestly, it's like that depends on the instructor, but we shouldn't act as a experienced, advanced martial artist. You shouldn't act on your emotions. You should know them. You should be able to recognize them. You should live them, but you should control yourself. Like, I think that's really, really one of the most important parts you learn in martial arts. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope, let me know if this is something that's interesting to you and that maybe even helps you. But yeah, like, what can you do? Like, I don't want to leave you with like nothing. Meditate. There's like, I have an episode on shamatha. Shamatha is a very easy, nice Vajrayana Buddhist meditation that can help you to control you. Actually, it's focused on controlling negative emotions or afflicting emotions. It doesn't mean you get rid of them. And in general, you're not going to get rid of them. Like, don't try to get rid of them. Don't get, like, this would be, in Buddhist terms, ignorance, getting numb. Like, right? Like, we are just leaving the human condition, the human experience. But we can't, honestly. This will just come back to you at some point. So try to meditate. Try to empty your mind. Try to learn to observe yourself in situations and how you respond emotionally, spiritually to this in these situations, even like physically. Like, what is it that suddenly happens when I'm with this or that person in one room? Like, why do they irritate me so much? And how can I change that? If somebody irritates you, it's not the problem of the other person, it's your problem. They irritate you. Why should they feel like? Why should you make them feel bad about that? If your emotional response is that, you should figure out why this is for you. Obviously, this is just like a general, like, and we all have that, right? Like, we have like this coworker. There's one coworker where like, I don't like them. I don't want to work with them. But actually, I don't know why. And I invite you to reflect on that and actually try to figure out what is the trigger there and how can you on your end control that and make it a more meaningful connection with this person, because maybe they're really nice people and you just didn't give them a chance, right? And even if they are not, don't make them control you, right? Because that's what's happening. You have another person controlling your emotional state and your behavior to the outside world in that moment. And that's not good. That's never a good strategy, right? So yeah, that's that. 20 minutes talking on emotions. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this can give you some insights on also like how, from a martial arts perspective, from a traditional martial arts and Buddhist perspective, you can work on these things. If you train or teach, don't forget this aspect. It's an important aspect of your training. Okay, especially if we do martial arts, we can hurt other people. So we need to be able to control our emotional state. we shouldn't be unstable. We shouldn't have martial artists that are unstable emotionally running around the world. Okay? So, have a wonderful day or evening. I say one more time, like, subscribe, comment, please help me to spread the good word here. And I say, see you at the Quan. Have a nice day, as I said, and goodbye from Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.